Hello, 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 Sand Fam. How are you doing? How are you guys doing on this Wednesday? I see Ice Cold Resin in the chat. I see Tom Voxel, Voxzombie. Hey guys, good to see you in the stream. It's been a couple of Wednesdays where I haven't been live for various reasons. But I am back with another Wednesday stream. Can you guys hear me appropriately? Is the sound alright for you? I like to check with that, just to be sure. But how are you guys doing? Are you guys having a good time with the Game Maker? Thank you, Tom, for saying welcome back. I have been keeping busy, but I have actually missed the stream. So I am glad to be here. All right, so let's start with some news before we move on to any Game Maker stuff. We are going to be doing like a small little tutorial session today, like we're supposed to be doing. But always, as always, feel free to ask any questions about the Game Maker. But before we jump into the Game Maker, we will do the news, the mandatory news. Let's see what's up in the sandbox. Let's change the screen so you can actually see what I'm doing. There we go. We had the reveal of the Shibuya, I'm sorry if I say that incorrectly, but the Shibuya avatars have been revealed. So if you did buy any of those, do go ahead and check it out if you haven't already. See if you got any of the awesome avatars. These are super cute. I like a lot of them. All right, so second up, we've got the Shibuya land that is opened. Event ending on October 31st. So it opened on the 26th of September. You've got plenty of time still. Get in there to get a share of the sand pool. You need a total of 15 EP to get the event completion reward. So get in there and do the Shibuya event. Hey Garnikin, good to see you. Good to see you in this Wednesday's stream. Next up, what is that? Tsubasa event is also live right now. It started on September 27th. It ends on November 1st. So also plenty of time for you to get in there and get it done. Don't forget about it. Hey Marshall, good to see you in the chat. And I think, are you working with Alamaya Studio, Marshall? Because if you are, congrats on all the many victories of Alamaya lately. It's been great. You guys have been rocking it. Okay. Right. So, open to all, shared pool of 25,000 sand, and then an extra 100,000 sand for only Tsubasa avatar holders. So get in there for your share of the rewards for the Tsubasa event. All right. And we have got our weekly creator highlight. We've got Deja Vu Experience by Puzzle Bros. This looks super awesome. I haven't played it yet because I have had plenty to do, but it looks really good and I would like to play it. It is a thriller game and it looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Weekly creator highlights by Panapops. She knows this game, she has played this game, and she can vouch for the fact that it is cool. It is looking really good, and I think I will take some time to play it. Mystery thriller kind of thing. Cool looking assets, cool looking game. Get in there and play it. Puzzle Bros, Deja Vu. And live contests right now does not include game jams, I'm afraid, but we do have a Vox Edit contest live right now. We've got the Autumn Vibes Vox Edit contest because we are in October. It is the month of the autumn, the Halloween month, where everyone goes wild with pumpkins and all the other fun things. This is not a Halloween contest, it is an autumn contest, but pumpkins are a big thing. But that is not what you necessarily have to create. You just have to create an asset based on the autumn theme. So a pumpkin patch if you want to, or someone who is just having a nice pumpkin latte with a nice woolly sweater or something. Who knows? Your creativity is the only limit here. So get going with that. And the beginner the beginner categories are back finally, which is great. We've had a few contests, but we haven't had the beginner category for the Vox Edit contest, but we do for this one, which is awesome. So if you are someone who's not super experienced with Vox Edit and you want to get in on the action, now's your chance, because we've got the beginner category right here, and you cannot win this one if you have won it before. So there we go. Vox Edit contest. As for game jams, I cannot reveal for you when the next one is. There isn't one right now. We've been doing some changes, rework, things are coming up, and 2024 is going to be one hell of a blast, not gonna lie. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. There's a lot coming. I hope you guys are excited, because I am excited to see how things go. It's gonna be great. So if you guys don't have any further questions, let's do some Game Maker stuff. Let's do the Game Maker stuff. Let's close up this one. No, we don't have to close it. I don't know why I closed all the tabs. I should have kept them open. That was kind of silly of me. I should have kept them open so that I could go back to them. Divi, do you know when the feedback from Heroes versus Villains is out, or whatever they will be out before the forms deadline? Before the forms deadline? Well, I don't know for sure when the council is going to send out the feedback. So that is kind of on the council. They generally do it, I think, pretty quickly after the game jam is over. They have the emails because they have access to the submissions, and they will then send the feedback. But I can check with Alex to see where they're at with that. But it should be coming. If you haven't received it yet, it should be coming. Hey Vox, good to see you. And congrats also to you for your recent victory, or at least, third place victory. I guess that's a victory as well. I just felt like victory was like first prize or something. Wasn't it third place? I think it was third place. That is awesome. Good job. You did an awesome amount of work on that one. I loved the artistic direction. That was you. And I also love what Cold Cuts and Cheese did. She is really awesome. Really awesome. Hey, Ank12, first time chatter. Good to see you in the chat. I hope you're excited for a little bit of a Game Maker tutorial based on a recent request. It's not so recent now, actually. It was a couple of weeks ago or something like that. Someone wanted to know, how do I make a treasure chest that drops loot? Well, let's have a look at it. It's been a couple of weeks since they asked that. Maybe they already found out, but maybe someone else can benefit from this. It's a lot simpler than it used to be. Back in the day, I did make a tutorial, which is still on my YouTube channel, about how to make a treasure chest that drops loot, but I don't even think that currently works anymore. We were in either 0.6 or 0.7, I don't remember, but that doesn't work anymore. This is a lot simpler at this point to do than it was at that time, so let's just get into that before anything else. You have a premium land and bought 2 years ago. Well, welcome to the chat anyway, but not welcome to the Sandbox, because you've clearly been here for a while, and good on you for having a premium land. By the way, I'm jealous. I don't have a premium land. I don't have a premium land. I wish. All right, so treasure chest. I just selected this basic chest that we've got in the Game Maker library. If you have the Game Maker installed, you have this one too. It is called something. I forgot what it's called. Let's just search for chest and it'll be there. Neutral chest. It's a neutral chest. You've got that in your Game Maker library. You can use this for as a treasure chest. So what I do, there are a couple of ways you can do it. What I used to do was use the door behavior, but what I like to do now is I prefer to use the animated decoration. So we start by adding the animated decoration behavior, and we make the animation open. So we want it to open when we interact with it, so we need to make sure that it plays on receive message, and that message needs to be interact. If you could stop that, interact here. So let me just edit logic because that's annoying me. Okay, so play and receive message, select Okay, I've already selected it, so now it doesn't want to let me. There we go. And message to players interact. So when we interact with it, it will do its thing. It'll animate. You need to make sure you put the play count to 1, because if you keep it at 0, it's at 0 by default. Nothing's gonna happen. Make sure you always have at least 1 play count, otherwise your animation is just not gonna do anything. We don't want it to loop because we don't want it to keep opening. And is there anything else we want? Yes, we can do this a couple of ways. You could send a message on end to spawn the loot. The problem with that, mostly with this chest, I'm not sure if it's a problem with this chest, I haven't actually checked that, or if it's just, you know, an issue overall, but it seems like the animation for opening on this chest is longer than, you know, the actual visual animation, meaning that if I ask it to spawn on end, it takes quite a while after the chest is opened before it spawns. So I don't want that. So instead I am putting in a message spawn in the message on start. So at the start of the animation, it'll send a message spawn, but I don't want it to spawn the loot straight away. So we are going to be adding a little timer on it as well. But before we do that, let's add our asset spawner to spawn the loot. So we've got an asset spawner right here, and we're going to spawn the alpha sword. The alpha sword. We're going to spawn the alpha sword. All right, we don't want any behavior on the sword. We just want it to be collectible so that we can pick it up and cut some enemies with it. We don't want any physics on it because just please don't do that with collectibles. It's annoying. You don't need it for anything anyway. You can pick it up just fine. So message required for this one to spawn, we would want that to be loot. We don't want it to be spawn like the message that we're sending from the animated decoration, because otherwise it'll spawn at the start of the animation, which will look kind of awkward. So we want it to be spawning with the message loot instead. And there are a couple of things you can do to time things. You know, back in the day, we like to use health components to do that. But you can also use a timed event, which is a behavior that was introduced in 0.8. We did not have it back then. So timed events are super useful and also can be used in multiplayer. Whoopsie daisies. Can also be used in multiplayer. I want to note that you may see that I'm using single player logic and multiplayer logic, and you might be panicking thinking, oh my god, they don't work together. Yes, they do. They do if it's a single player game. So if you are doing a single player game, they can still communicate because everything acts as single player logic. All right, so we want this timed event to start on the message spawn, which is being sent by the animated decoration behavior on the chest. Once it receives that message, it's going to send out a message. No, it's not going to send out a message. It is going to start the timer. And I've set it to 2 seconds. You can adjust that to make it fit, you know, as best as possible for whatever, you know, time it takes for the animation and what looks right, etc. So you can go ahead and adjust that. But I put it for 2 seconds. And after the 2 seconds are over, I'm going to ask this timed event to send out the message loot. The message loot is what is going to activate the asset spawner and spawn the loot. Quite simple. You can add sub events for the timer. We are not going to be doing that for this. We don't need it. How am I saying this name? Lou. I'm just going to call you Lou. You subscribed with Prime to the Sandbox. Good for you. Thank you for doing that. All right. So we've got it all set up pretty much. So we've got our chest. Going through it again. Got our chest. We've got animated decoration. When we interact with it, it's going to do the open animation. It's going to do it once. And it is going to send out a message spawn once the animation starts. That message is going to be sent to a timed event, which is going to start a timer for 2 seconds, which will then at the end of those 2 seconds send out a message loot, which is then going to go to our asset spawner right here. My ear is super itchy. It's going to go to the asset spawner here, which will then spawn the alpha sword. Hey Lou, good to see you. And let's go and test it in the game maker. Oh, and I've got my new custom made, you know, face and everything for my, you know, alter ego Veepyre. All right, let's open a chest. Let's see it in action. So the animation happened and the timed event happened and the sword spawned, and we picked it up, and we're going to go into that inventory. We're going to equip that sword, and we're going to cut the thin air because we don't have any enemies. So that works just fine. We could probably do it with a health component as well, I'm assuming. I mean, I haven't done that in a long time, but we could probably do that. Let's just do it so that we can go through a couple of different ways to do it. This is a legacy behavior. It'll not work in multiplayer. Just keep that in mind. So we want the how do we do this again? We want the death delay to be 2, instant death message to be spawn. There we go. And we don't want any of life bars on this. Message send on death should be loot. There we go. Send to tags. We need to put a tag if we are using this one. So we're gonna do we're just gonna do sword spawner. That's our tag. That's a not a very great tag, but it's a tag. All right. So we've got our tags sword spawner. We're gonna add that here. Sword spawner. If I can spell, I can't spell. Ah, that was not right. Wow. Let's see if I can do it this time. I can. There we go. Okay, so now the health component will be the one to receive the message rather than timed event, and it is going to kill the timed thingy. No, not the timed. The health component when we interact with the chest, because the chest is going to send the message spawn, which is going to be received by the health component, which will kill it. And once it dies, after 2 seconds, because there's a death delay of 2, it will send out the message loot, and that should be sent to the tag sword spawner, which is on the asset spawner that we are using to spawn the sword. So this should work. I haven't done it in a very long time. There should be no issue with it, but let's see how it goes. Did it do it? Yes, it did. So one thing that you'll notice is that it'll do the little health component explosion, because that's what it does. If something has a health component, it'll do a little explosion animation when it dies. You can negate this by just hiding it underground so that you won't see it. But that's another way to do it if you want to. As I said, I used to use the door behavior to what am I doing here? Oh, that's because it's single player, right? I used to use the door behavior for chests, and that works just fine too. I would imagine that it still works. And also, of course, multiplayer, that is multiplayer, so it would work in multiplayer to use this one. But you can also use multiplayer animated decoration in any case, so that shouldn't be an issue. The problem with the door behavior is that once you interact with a door, just like an actual door in the game, when you open it, it will lose collision. It will not have any collision, so you will be able to walk through the chest, which is kind of weird. So if you wanted to use the door behavior for the chest, you would have to put something else here. You could put another asset, or you could just put, you know, an invisible version of the chest on top of it, so that, you know, even when the door is activated and open, it will not be possible to actually, you know, walk through the chest. But you can totally do that. You would say message required, yes, interact again, that's the same thing as usual. Opening mode, animate, we want this to be open, and starting state is close. Message on open should then be the spawn thing. Which again, it's gonna send the message to either the health component or the timed event, and that is then again going to send a message to the asset spawner. So it works much the same way, but let's just check if it works, because I'm kind of curious whether this still works the way it used to. So let's just check it out. We want the thing to be sent to... No, we don't need it to be sent to tags. I thought we could just make it the sword spawner, but that's not the correct component. That's not where it's supposed to send a message. So let's just say all, because I like to just put all. That's usually the easiest. So let's see if it works. Okay, we do the open animation and it's spawned. Everything works. Perfect. I guess I can close it. I can close it again. There we go. I guess that's also one of the good things about the chest, or the door, not the chest, is that you can just continue opening and closing. Although I don't see why you would particularly want to close a treasure chest once you've opened it. I don't see any particular reason for that. So, but you can. That's an option. Alrighty. So we've seen how to do a treasure chest. Is there any questions about that? Or about any of the behaviors, or about something else with the game maker? If not, let's move on to blocks. Right, that's what I wanted to do. Blocks. I wanted to do some simple controls because I have noticed that some people know most of the controls, but not all. And the thing is, while you can learn logic by simply exploring the different behaviors and components and understanding what they do, when it comes to controls and ways that you can, use the blocks with different keyboard actions, etc., you don't really have any sort of guideline, or you have some, but not fully within the game maker. So it might be useful for some to have a slight little tutorial on how to do different things. So let's do that. And if you're a veteran, you already know this stuff, unless you're one of the veterans who don't know the one thing that a lot of people don't know, but we'll get to that. So let's start with picking a block. You just need to select any block that is on your toolbar. If you don't have one on your toolbar, you can go ahead and filter by block, and you can drag one right up there. There we go. Finished. So you need to left click just to add one single block. You can also left click and drag to do a larger area. You can also, by default, you've got the freeform enabled, which is what we were using. You can also select shapes. So you can see we've got a diamond shape here, we've got a cube, we've got a sphere, and you can adjust the sizes of that. But for the most part, you will likely just be using the freeform mode. So let's continue with that. If you right click, you're going to be deleting the blocks that are there. You can also just delete single blocks by just clicking. And if you want to replace blocks, let's say you don't want the grass here, but you want a path, but you don't want to be deleting it and then filling it, you want to just replace them, you can click left control and drag, and you will replace the blocks on that layer with the blocks of your choice. Super easy, but you can also do it in another way. If you, for example, want to create a river, let's just say this is a river, right? We've got a river right here. Let's delete some more. And you want some water in that. Let's see if we can find some water. There's the water. You can fill. And you do that by right control click. So if you hold down right control and left click, it will fill this layer. So it'll not fill down here, it'll only fill on the layer that you're clicking. So there won't be water at the bottom there. So you can still just use, the left control and replace. But if you want to fill something or fill one layer with a kind of block, you can use your right control and left click to fill. So now you've got a little bit of a river going on here. This is something that I find a lot of people don't know. So it might be useful knowledge. You can also do that for, the entire land. If you right control and left click, now I have filled the entire top layer of this land with this beautiful asphalt. Wonderful. Okay. So if you want to make blocks vertically, you can of course just click and add, but that is quite time consuming. There's a better way of doing it. You hold down Shift, although you need to make sure that you first left click and then you hold Shift, and then you can drag up. That will allow you to draw, you know, the blocks up in the air. So left click, hold left Shift. I always mess up left and right for some reason when I'm trying to speak. I know directions, of course I do. So left click and left Shift and drag. If you want a thicker column, you can always left click and drag to the desired sort of area. So you want to make blocks that are this thick, or you know, an area that is this thick, and you want to do it vertically. You first click and drag to the desired size. You then press down your left Shift and you drag upwards. Now you have made a very thick block of blocks. So that's how you do that. If you want to create, you know, floating islands and stuff, things that float with blocks, there are two ways of doing it. There is the way of pressing insert, which you can see here. When I pressed insert, it gave me like a little, you know, square gizmo kind of thing that indicates where I would be inserting a block. So if I press insert here and I then left click, I'm going to be placing a block right here in the middle of the air. My problem with this one is that it's kind of hard to see exactly where you're placing it. So if you are looking for precision, using insert is kind of not the best way to go in my experience, but you can do so. You've got your first block here, now you can start building off of it. But my preferred way of doing it is to simply just, you know, make a pillar. And, you know, if you want a really large area, you could always use your right control and click, and it'll actually fill this entire area. Then you can remove by right clicking and dragging to delete the pillars, and now it is an entire floating platform. And then, of course, if you want it smaller, you could always adjust it by sort of deleting and such. You can either do it like that, or alternatively, you can just start working on it. So one thing you would want to note is if you're doing it this way, you can only drag blocks or make blocks or whatever by targeting an existing block, and your end target also has to be on an existing block. So if you're trying to make a floating island, you cannot just click and then drag into thin air. You need a destination block, so to say. So what I like to do generally is I first create a little path in one direction, then I create a little path in the other direction. Hey, Wicked You, good to see you. That rhymed. Good to see you in the chat. It's nice to see your name here again. All right, and then you click and drag. So that's sort of the fastest way, in my experience, to fill out that area. If you're not going to be using your right control and click to simply fill out the entire area, which I think is useful in a lot of cases, because it's easier to simply just delete what you don't want than to sit and click single blocks to fill out an area. Hey, Beers and Nuts, good to see you here. Bivers Nuts, I think, not Bivers, I think. Am I saying that right? You'll have to correct me if I'm not. Good to see you guys. It's always nice to have you in the chat. So, we have looked at treasure chests. We have looked at some blocks and controls for the blocks. I think that is pretty much all there is with the blocks. If you have other sort of questions about that, let me know. Yes, correct. Bivers Nuts. Yeah. You know what? That made more sense when I said it out loud, because I've never said I don't know if I've said your name out loud before, but in my head, I always read it differently, but when I said it out loud, I could hear that it was supposed to be Bivers Nuts. That sounded better. Option to redeem Senpai V when? I don't know. I haven't looked into all these channel point things because I have been extraordinarily busy. Game jams are, going to be crazy in 2024. All right, we've got big plans. We've got lots of things that are going to be happening, and I have a lot of things that I need to organize and strategies to be made and things to do and stuff. So I just haven't gotten around to looking at channel points. But yes, I'll look into something. I'll look into something fun that we can do for this Wednesday stuff. For sure. For sure. Okay. So, will there be a game jam soon? Soon TM. I can't tell you the exact date right now because we had to do some, we sort of had to, do a different thing than we had originally planned. So we kind of adjusted the strategy, and I don't want to tell you a date and then it's not that date. But there will be one soon TM. It's not super far off. And I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be really fun. I quite like the theme. I quite like the whole idea around it. So let's have a look at how fun that's going to be. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. I hope you guys will join, because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you join? Okay. Is there anything else about controls and about treasure chests that you would like to know? So while there is not so much going on in chat, let me just comment quickly about multiplayer and single player logic, because I think that is still a super important thing to note, and I do still see people who are confused with how that works. So the thing is, we've got different types of logic. Multiplayer logic is logic that happens, or where if something is activated, it'll be activated for everyone in a multiplayer experience. So if it's in a single player experience, this is just going to act as single player logic. But if you are making a multiplayer experience, multiplayer logic will be something that activates for everyone and happens to everyone at once. So if you put single player logic in your multiplayer experience, it still works if it communicates between each other, but it'll only happen locally to one player. So that is something very important to note. And another thing that is super important to note is that multiplayer logic is a lot heavier on performance, so please use it sparingly. Use it only when it must be multiplayer. If it does not need to be multiplayer, don't make it multiplayer, because it will make your game perform worse, basically. So of course there will be times where you want things to happen for everyone, and then it has to be multiplayer. But there are, there's a lot of logic in multiplayer games that does not have to be happening simultaneously for everyone. So make sure that you think about that when you design your games, because it will impact your performance if you put every single bit of logic as multiplayer. What was that question? I'm trying to see what Panda Pops is answering. Oh, right, okay. Oh, that's about the heroes versus villains game jam. Yeah, okay. Feedback. Yeah, Panda is part of the council, so she'll be able to answer that better than me, because they are handling that part. Thank you, Panda, for that. for that little interjection. Okay, what was I saying? Multiplayer logic, right. Do remember also in multiplayer, if you have both single player and multiplayer logic, they don't always communicate very well with each other. So sort of also be aware of that. If you need, elements to communicate with each other, make sure you determine whether it has to be multiplayer or single player, so that they communicate well with each other. Right now, the single player logic is what communicates with the rules system. So if you want quests, you need it to be single player logic. Okay. Let's go in here real quick and make a, what did I want? Which one did I want to drop? Pickable. Yes, pickable. There we go. Okay. So, oh, not the chest. Why did I make the chest pickable? That's not the one I wanted to make pickable. I wanted to put an asset there. Let's get an entity out there. Let's just do a water bucket. That's gonna work. That's fine. Let's make the water bucket pickable. And then let's look into presets, because presets are super useful and you guys should make sure that you use them. They are very important, I think, to making good logic. So what a preset will do is that it'll let you adjust these values. So if you don't want opacity when the pickable is picked up, for example, you can turn that all the way down. And if you want this one to have a specific message when it's picked up, for example, you want audio play, you want something to, some music to start playing or a sound to start playing or something, once it's picked up, you can edit all of this logic. And if you then go into the hierarchy, let's see, where are we going here? It's water bucket, there it is. You have to click these 3 lines and you say save to preset. So now we've got a preset that does not have the opacity. We've got a preset that has a message when it's picked up, and we can do all the other edits if we want to. And then we can say save as preset. Now this preset is going to be spawnable. So if you don't want this bucket in your experience from the beginning, you don't want this pickable bucket to be pickable. You just want it to spawn maybe at some point. Maybe a merchant is giving you the bucket to fill it with water. Who knows? Something's going on, right? You want it to be pickable, but you don't want it to be pickable at the beginning. So you put a, let's find our asset spawner. We can just use that one. Let's put this asset spawner down because we want to spawn our preset. Can I move it, please? Move it. There we go. Asset spawner. You will need to now ask it to spawn a preset, which is here. Use preset true. So once you have selected that, you can then select a preset, and that will be a list of presets that you have made for this experience. So I just made the pickable bucket. One thing to note is that at the moment, these presets do not carry over to other experiences. I know this is something that you guys really want, and also something that I believe should be coming to the Game Maker. I can't say anything about when, however, but you can spawn a preset, and it's right now unique to this experience. So if you create a new one, you will not have the pickable bucket preset. Just keep that in mind, because it would be super nice to be able to have presets that you can use across all experiences, but that is not the case. So don't waste your time doing presets, sort of generalized presets that you want to use in other experiences. Just do it for this one. So we can now spawn our pickable bucket, and we can put a message for it to spawn, which would probably not be loot. I mean, I suppose it could be. I guess we could spawn a pickable bucket with the treasure chest. Why not? Why wouldn't we want to loot a bucket from a treasure chest? I've always wanted a bucket. Right, so let's just keep it at that. The message required is loot, and it will then spawn the pickable bucket. Let's have a look at that. Let's go and open the chest to loot our awesome bucket, and it's not working right now. I don't know why. Oh, maybe because I changed some things. Yep, that is because I got rid of the behavior. Let's add that back in. Let's make it open, and let's make it 1, and let's make it message to play is interact. It plays once. Message on start is spawn. There we go. I think I did all of that correctly. Now this one, I prefer to have the timed event, honestly. I think it works better than the health component. That was a nice back in the day thing, but for now, I prefer the timed event. Message to start is going to be spawn, and time for the event to complete is 2, and then it's going to send the loot message. There we go. Now we've got to set back up. This should work. Let's see, make sure that everything's correct. We've got the loot message required. We've got the preset. We should be able to loot now. Let's loot that bucket. Loot that valuable bucket. There we go. There it is. There's our bucket without collision, and it's pickable. Oops, and I turned the opacity down instead of up. Oopsies. So it's super transparent, but that's not the point. You can see that we've got our preset here. And, you know, rather than just spawning a bucket with a standard behavior, which we could have done, we could have just spawned the bucket if we wanted to, you know. If we didn't use the preset, what would happen instead is that, let's have a look at that. Bucket. And we can add the behavior, and we can add pickable if we want to, but the pickable will not be, you know, customized. So you will not be able to ask it to play a sound when you pick up the pickable. You will not be able to adjust the opacity. You'll not be able to adjust how far away, you know, from in front of you or behind you or to the side that the asset is going to be placed once you pick it up, or anything like that. It'll just have the standard pickable options in the parameters. So it'll work as a pickable, but it'll not have all the options. So that's pretty much the difference, and that is why presets are super useful and super important, because a lot of the time you will want to spawn things that, you know, have certain options. This is particularly useful for, you know, spawning enemies, for example, that might have customized health or customized damage output or customized behaviors or something like that, apart from just the standard parameters that you have on the melee enemies and the soldiers and predators, etc. So super important to know how to use presets. Just to go over it once more, you go into your hierarchy, which is the bottom left corner here. You click on the asset that you want to make into a preset that has whatever settings you want, and you say save to preset. Then you name your preset something that you can remember later on so that you don't get confused, and you save it. Create new and then save, right? And when you need to use it, you will always have, on the behaviors that can interact with presets or work with presets, you will always have a button somehow that tells you whether it's going to just use a standard behavior or a preset, and then you will be able to pick from your presets. That's how presets works, and I think we are going to go back to the new session, but before we do that, we will quickly go over what we did. We did the treasure chest, we've just done that, so I'm not going to go through that in too much depth. We had a treasure chest with animated decoration, sending a message spawn to a timed event, which activated for 2 seconds, and at the end of the event, it sent the message loot to an asset spawner. And the asset spawner needs the message loot to spawn the asset that we have asked it to spawn. So that is how treasure chests work. You can do it in different ways if you want to, but this is a way to do it, and it is a pretty good and simple way to do it. So, and it should work in, you know, different modes. So we did that. We did some block controls. We learned how to place and delete and drag and delete and drag and place. We learned how to use right control to fill. We used how to use left control to replace. We learned how to left click and then shift click afterwards to drag up to make a vertical pillar. We learned how to drag and you know, drag to click and drag, left click and drag to your desired size, and then left shift click and drag up to make a big pillar. So we learned some controls there, and then we went on to learning about presets. We just did that, so I'm not going to go over that one again. We're going to jump back to the news, where it would have been useful for me to not go and close the different tabs as I was going through them, but we had you know, this shoe. Oh my! What was the name? Shubia. I forgot the name. That's embarrassing. Let me get this open real quick. There we go. There we go. Let's get these tabs open again. We had the avatar reveal this week. Why can I not open this? So annoying. Okay, well, let's just start with the vox edit contest then, because I got angry with this. We've got the Autumn Vibes vox edit contest. So for those of you who like to participate in vox edit contests and who are awesome at creating assets, and also those of you who are maybe beginners at creating assets, this contest is for you, because we have got both the regular category and the beginner category. So if you're new, the art team did so good. You mean on the banner? Because yes, they definitely did. I love this banner. I just saw it today and I was in love already. I also like the colors of autumn. It makes me feel very cozy. So we've got the Autumn Vibes Vox Edit contest. If you're new, don't be scared to enter, because we've got the beginner category. It is friendly for beginners and you have better chances, I suppose, of winning. And you sure, the rewards are a little lower, but that's all good. You're not going to be up against people who have won several vox edit contests in the past, because they will not be eligible for the beginner category. So it is super awesome to have this beginner category. You have Panda Pops to thank for that, because she's the one who's introduced this, and I think it is a really, really good initiative, and I know a lot of you guys loved that. So I'm glad to see it back, because we've had a few contests where we haven't had beginner category. Do remember the dates for this. You need to complete this by the end of, not by the end of, but by the 22nd of October at 11:59 p.m. UTC. Please do make sure you convert this time to your local time, because if you get it wrong, you might not submit on time, so make sure you do that. Same for game jams. So we will have results announced on the 18th of November, and the submissions open today, so you are very much in time to take part in this. You have all the time in the world, not all the time in the world, but you have plenty of time to complete your entry. You can read about the judging criteria to make sure you are, updated on what you need to, think about when you create your asset. And remember to read the guidelines and the rules and how to submit, because if you don't, you might get in trouble, and we don't want you getting in trouble. Yep, so we've got our vox edit contest right there. Panda, I am unable to get the links because Discord is acting weird, and I closed it and now it doesn't want to open. So I don't know if you have the links in front of you and if you're there, but we've got our creator spotlight this week for, whatever that Panda hopefully links, because I am stuck without it. It is super annoying. Thank you, Panda. Oh my god, lifesaver. Oh no, that was a vox edit contest. I've already got that one up here. Yeah, so I wanted to do the creator spotlight, but I closed Discord and I closed the tabs from the beginning of the stream. So that was kind of silly of me. No worries, Panda. I'm sorry to ask you to jump in here, but Discord does not want to open for whatever reason. That's super annoying. So we've got the creator spotlight of this week, which is Deja Vu. And super awesome experience. At least it looks awesome. I don't know because I haven't played it, but Panda has, and she's the one who spotlighted it. But I want to play it just from looking at it and reading about it. So this looks like a super amazing thriller experience with awesome artistic direction. So you guys should definitely have a look at this. I definitely think I'm gonna do it tonight, I was going to do some gaming tonight anyway, so this might be it, because it looks super awesome. Thank you for that. That one is good. Yeah, it looks good. So I definitely recommend that you guys check it out. It's by Puzzle Bros. And thank you again, Panda, for the link, because I was stupid to close the tab. That looks nice. Yes, it does, doesn't it? All right, everybody. Do you have any questions before we end the stream? Because we are almost done. We are almost done. So we will be ending in a moment. Let me see if I can get Discord to open now. Nope. I don't know what happens. I closed Discord, and now when I click it, nothing happens. So not able to get all the links that I had because I closed them, and now I can't get them again. Alrighty, that's just how it is. It was featured in our October event last year. I'm sure you're right. I did not play it, unfortunately, but that is about to change. So everybody, thank you for joining this stream. It was really nice to be back on this Wednesday. It was actually a nice little sort of break from the everyday busy life to just hang out with you guys and do a little bit of Game Maker stuff for once. It's been really great. So I hope you guys learned something today. If you didn't, that's all right too. Thanks for just hanging out with me. Always feel free to suggest any tutorials that you might be interested in. If there is something that you would like to know how to do, make sure to just, ping me maybe on Discord or something like that, or here in chat and stream. But if it's outside of the stream hours, you can reach me on Discord and you can suggest some tutorials that you would like to see. You're welcome to do that, and I will look into if I can do that for you. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Wicked You. Thank you, Garnikin. Thank you, PandaPops, for joining in with the links as well. And thank you, Ian, the IT guy. Thank you, Ank, first-time chatter but long-time landowner. And thank you, Vox Machina, if you're still here. Thank you, everybody who joined the stream. It was good to see you guys. I will see you next Wednesday. And I will also see you, or you won't see me, but I'll see you, I suppose, tomorrow in the Thursday stream. If we're doing it, I know Panda is maybe feeling a little under the weather. I don't know if she's up for it. We'll see, but we do have a Thursday stream. If not, we've got a Monday stream, and if not, we've got my Wednesday stream. So we'll see, guys. I'll see you guys soon, and catch you on Discord if you have any questions, further questions about Game Maker or Game Jam related things. Bye bye, everybody.